home cook from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I'm going to show you how to make easy and real food that's always delicious and that absolutely anyone can make. Today we are having a sandwich party and I'm excited to show you 3 amazing sandwiches, so let's get started. We are going to start with the sandwich I like to call my garden party. So this is a very vegetable forward and easily adaptable to be 100% vegan, which is what we're going to be making today. And delicious whether you're a meat eater or not. I mean, let's get realistic. Salads are the best way to get vegetables into our diet, but they get kind of boring. So if we can slap it between a couple of slices of bread, then we've got ourselves a party. We are going to start by grilling the vegetables that we are going to use in this sandwich. So, in a frying pan, or if you have a pancake griddle, that's excellent. We're just going to put a tiny bit of olive oil on there. Again, if you prefer a different kind, canola oil, sunflower oil, whatever is your preference, just make sure that it isn't an oil that smokes really easily. So, I find olive oil delicious and very reliable, so we're going to use that. Now, as you can see, we just sliced a zucchini into circles, about that thick, so probably about 1/2 inch to 1/3 of an inch. Doesn't really matter. And we're going to use our first zucchini here to spread the oil around. Don't even have to dirty up another dish. Okay, let's get those on there. I cut a few extras so you wouldn't have to sit around watching me all afternoon. All right, now we are going to be making a hummus for this sandwich, and that's going to be the spread. And I'm going to be making a serrano or poblano, whichever one you can get. They usually seem to have one or the other. Pepper at the grocery store. They are both a mild pepper. They have a little bit of spice to them, but nothing that's going to blow your head off, that sort of thing. So this is a long and skinny pepper. Remember how we cut our peppers. We cut the top and the bottom off. We make a slit, and then we spread it out like a wall. Get our seeds out. And as usual, we'll be putting them in our bullshit bin, which has been upgraded to this lovely bowl today. And then we're just going to rip it into nice flat chunks. Once we've done that, we cut that in half. And then we put rib side down on the grill and let that get going. Now that we have all of these veggies on the grill, is that it? Yeah. I think we have room for our pepper. If you're making a bunch of this, you might not have room, but we have room today, so let's go with it. I'm going to take a nice red pepper. Now, with this pepper, it's a little wider. You can cook the end on there. I need this. I'm making chicken soup this week, so that can go in there. Cut in a little slit, lay it down, and then run our knife gently across, and we'll get all of that. Excellent. Next thing we have to do is season. Now, as you can see, the pepper obviously has a pretty shiny skin, so if we season this side of the peppers, it's all just going to fall off. So we'll leave the peppers for now. Let them do a little dance. We'll do a little salt on the zucchini. Oh no, where's the pepper now? There it is. A little pepper. And then today we're going to be using za'atar seasoning. So za'atar is in between a Middle Eastern and a North African, so you could go with a Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, or even a Moroccan. But it's basically thyme and lemon peel and sumac, and those are all spices that have a little acidity to them. I like to get mine from the Silk Road down on White Avenue or online. Oh, too much. And then we're going to let that do its thing. Meanwhile, we're going to make hummus. You are never ever going to spend $6.79 for a tub of hummus again, I promise, because when I show you how bloody easy it is to make hummus, you can do it up anytime you like. Tidy up a little bit here. All right, So in a food processor, you can do this in a blender, but you're going to need more liquid and it's going to become a runny hummus. Runny hummus. Back. We're going to use 1 can of chickpeas. Try to find one that's, you know, just beans, water, salt. Maybe avoid the brands that have all the preservatives. And we're going to put in 1 pinch of salt and a little bit more of our za'atar. You can do any spice you like in hummus. You can do a lemon dill, you can do a hot pepper, you can use paprika, as many cloves of garlic as you like. I like about 6 in my hummus. So that's a full heaping tablespoonful of your crushed and prepared garlic, which I highly recommend you have some in your house at all times if you are a garlic lover. All right, now we're going to put our lid on and we're going to get this started on low. We then add 1/2 of a cup of olive oil in a slow, steady stream. The juice from 2 lemons or 2 tablespoons of prepared lemon juice, like real lemon or whatever. And then the tiniest little splash of water at a time until it gets to the consistency you want, which we're getting pretty close to right now. Turn that off. This is still pretty chunky, but we definitely want to mix all those ingredients in there. And then I'm going to let this run on high for about 3 minutes, and then we'll come back and get these vegetables flipped and seasoned. Right. Okay, so I've flipped everything over, and now I'm ready to season one side of the peppers. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of our friend za'atar. Literally one of my favorite words to say. It's so fun. And we're going to let that cook for a few minutes. Well, you at home will anyway. We've already done that here at the Rough Chop Kitchen. So we're going to pull the serrano or poblano pepper off and let these continue for a little while. I want a bunch of extra of this so I can eat sandwiches for 3 or 4 days. That's a little tip from me to you. Might as well do double the batch because this will keep in your refrigerator for about a week. We'll just get those on there. Do a little grilling. I love my tabletop grill. Just not for eggs. All right. We've got our poblano. I'm going to recommend you at home, you know, use an oven mitt or whatever because it's still going to be hot. For those of us that no longer have feeling in our fingers, we can kind of grab that. We just want to chop it up a little bit. Don't worry about your knife skills at all here. It's going in the food processor. So you can see we got a much nicer texture on that hummus. All right, now we'll fire it up on low. And in she goes. This is going to turn a crazy, delicious, delightful green color for our garden party sandwich. Oh! Tried to get away. Now that it's all in there, slam it on high. This is the time on Rough Chop where we dance, because that's all we can really do while we wait. Oh, that looks good. Now, if you want to keep it chunky, that's your prerogative. I want flecky. I want nice flecks of the pepper. That's at least one more dance. Maybe pull these peppers. See how much more fun making dinner is if you have a little dance while you're doing it? Oh yeah. That's the kind of multitasking I can get behind. All right, now we need to have a little taste. excellent. Needs a little more salt. And the lemon's a little high, and when that happens, you just put the tiniest bit more of your fat in there. So those two balance each other out. Pulse that out. Oh, when a problem comes along, you must pulse it. You'll never get along unless you pulse it. And we are good. Excellente. All right. Let's get this sandwich put together. All right, so I have cooked up 1 red pepper, 1 yellow pepper, and a zucchini and a half, and we're just gonna throw that into a nice bowl that has a lid. This can be Tupperware, glass, doesn't really matter. Now it's important to do this right after you grill so that we can have the heat, and that's what's gonna make the dressing so good. Again, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of our spice, whatever you're using. Again, za'atar is the spice of the day. And then we're gonna put in the juice of 1 lime. You can also use lemon. You can also use orange if you're going with a different spice set. Basically, you just need a citrus in there. Preferably one that's a little less rude about squeezing. I didn't do the roll. Sometimes you gotta roll out a lime first to get it to wanna get juicy. Give us those juices. Okay, now the reason we're doing this is because this is gonna create a dressing, and of course a salt and an acid makes a preservative, which means you can keep this in your fridge 4 to 6 days, honestly. And then you'll be able to use it for all of these sandwiches, as well as the other ones I'm going to show you. You can put it on top of salad, you can put it on crackers, you can just eat it. It's just a very nice marinated vegetable. All right, let's make a sandwich, because sandwiches are really the best food that was ever invented. You got your bread, you got your vegetables, and if you're careful about what you put in your sandwich, it can be very healthy and very filling, and of course, it travels well, so you don't have to worry about a soggy sandwich, if you know what you're doing. If you stick with me, kid, you'll be a sandwich master. Now, we have chosen a flaxseed ciabatta bun. This bun is a fairly dense bun, and it's got a lot of bubble holes, and what that means is that it's going to stand up to a more liquidy filling like hummus and not get soggy and stay from getting dry. So I have put our hummus on one side of the bread, and we are going to do it on both sides of the bread. So that would just be silly if we didn't. You may be thinking, beans on a sandwich? Well, pita's bread. All right, now we want to make sure we have corner to corner coverage, which means you might have to find the very best. Do we want half of our bites to be red, half of our bites to be orange? Do we want one side red, one side orange? You got a lot of choices here. The important thing is to make sure that every single bite of this sandwich is going to get a little bit of everything. And that's really the key to any good sandwich. Now we put our zucchini on there. Hit the whole sandwich with a little bit of salt and pepper. Oh, I've done a classic amateur move. I put the toppings on the top bun. It's okay, I feel confident in my skills. Now this one, you gotta be careful. It can be a little slippery and a little messy, but that's what makes it delicious. We're gonna get our bread cutting knife, which is a nice serrated blade. I think we better get our camera person in here to help taste this sandwich, don't you think? All right, garden party salad in a sandwich. Look at that. Delicious. Let's give that a try. Make sure it's good enough for our viewers. We're gonna go eat this. And then we'll be right back with our vegetarian grilled sandwich, which you're gonna love too. Let's do it. Now there's gonna be nights you come home from work and you just don't feel like making dinner and you're gonna be tempted to order takeout again. Then you're gonna get that takeout, you're gonna have spent way too much money for it, and you're gonna be regretful and wish that you'd had something tastier. So why not a delicious grilled cheese instead?
It's easy peasy.
It's easy peasy indeed. Now, if you watched my live program before, you'll know I'm a proponent of using mayonnaise instead of butter on the outside of a grilled cheese sandwich. You'll also remember me warning you not to use Miracle Whip because Miracle Whip has a lot of sugar in it and it will burn. If this is too crazy for you, just use butter or margarine, it's fine.
Why mayo?
Or mayo.
Why mayo?
Mayo is made with canola oil, and for some reason it just browns the nicest, and it makes the most delicious sandwich. Butter has a lot of milk sugar in it, so you have to cook it pretty low. I don't know. It was a tip I picked up from someone else and was like, that's crazy. It wasn't. Now watch how easy that is. You've done your 3. Now when you put that on there, if you hear a sizzle, turn it down a little bit. The best grilled cheese is low and slow. Otherwise, the bread cooks much too fast. And then the filling is cold. It's still sounding a little bit sizzly. Now, we want to put on our next layer, which is going to be our sauce. This is called Ajvar, and this you can find at any Italian or European grocery store and some regular grocery stores, but basically it is just a paste made out of roasted red peppers. It's delicious. It's got at least 20 uses in my kitchen anyway. Put it in your pasta sauce, use it as a pasta sauce. It's great in sandwiches, hot and cold. And today we're using it because it's going to tie together the flavors of the peppers. So we're going to put a nice, good thick layer on there because we need it to be the glue for the vegetables. Now sometimes when you're making grilled cheese sandwiches, if you're making them for a bunch of people, it can be a little anxiety making because you're like, oh my god, I have to go so fast. You've got until you flip the bread. Now, the best grilled cheese sandwiches, we have to make sure we have a flat layer of filling. So how we're going to achieve that is just cut our marinated vegetable salad up a little bit so it isn't quite so chunky, and we can layer it out there a little easier. And then you can control how many vegetables you want. Now you do not want to get too crazy because otherwise you will find your breads don't stick together. And then you got stuff falling out of your grilled cheese. Nobody likes that. I feel like I could have mixed them up a little bit to get a little more variety. Let's go with the yellow pepper here on this one. Ooh, yellow and red. This sandwich is going to be vegetarian, so there'll be no meat, but we are going to put some cheese. You can make grilled cheese with vegan cheeses as well, so if you wanted to adapt this to be 100% plant-based, that's how you do that. All right, look at that, I'm trying to cut. That's your second use for your marinated vegetable salad right there. Now I caution you against putting too much stuff in your grilled cheese. We want it to flip nice and flat. Add a little extra. We've got equal representation all around. Oh. Now, cheese. I'm using Asiago because Parmesan is delicious and would be appropriate for this sandwich because obviously we're going in an Italian direction, but it doesn't melt that great. All right, now we want to get medium amount of cheese. If some of this cheese should happen to fall on the grill, oops, and make a little Asiago chip, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. All right, check our grill temp, it's looking good. Now all we have to do is put some mayonnaise on the outside all the way to the edges of the bread. Plop it on there. Now, the hard part of making the grilled cheese is being patient. You're gonna want to turn that heat up. Don't do it. Wait for the beautiful caramelization to happen. You'll see when that sandwich is crispy the whole way through with no soggy spots, you will thank yourself for your patience. All right. Let's let that go for a minute or two and then we'll get ready for the flip. All right, so now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add one more element to this grilled cheese sandwich, which is a fresh element. And we are going to cut some extremely as thin as you can. I recommend using a bread knife for this. And try to get as thin as you can slices. These are looking amazing. Now, let's take this guy here. And anytime you want to put anything that is a wet vegetable that you don't grill, such as the tomato or lettuce or spinach or arugula or whatever, I recommend you grill the sandwich first. Open that bad boy up and then put your cold vegetable in. Of course, we season at every level here so we can develop layers of flavor. And I feel pretty darn good about this one. It's gonna be ooey and gooey and cheesy and delicious. I think we need our camera person. Now, just to review, we're gonna use patience when we make our grilled cheese. We're gonna make sure our grill's at a nice medium temperature. Our stove, it's about 4 to 5 minutes on each side with a nice sturdy bread like sourdough. We're gonna make sure our filling is nice and warm, and then no floppy sandwich. You should be able to hear us crisp into this.
Yeah.
Ready?
Cheers. That crunch.
That's amazing. We're gonna pig out on this for a couple minutes and we'll be back with the final winning sandwich of the night. It's time for the pièce de résistance sandwich, our baked Italian loaf. And let me tell you, you can satisfy an entire family in about 15 minutes with one of these, especially if you made a big bin of these, and have a nice hot meal on the table that's also delicious and it's warm and it's comforting. You could even probably get away with it for a date night. It's almost fancy enough. So we are going to use a Kaiser roll in this particular instance. You can also use 2 slices of French bread, but the best bread for this sandwich is a white bread, and preferably a nice high quality one. Baked in store is usually best. I wouldn't recommend a Wonder Bread or a packaged bun. You can get away with it, but it's not as delicious as with fresh bread. Now, we're going to start with similar elements like we did for the grilled, except for we're going to put mayonnaise on the inside, and that's just going to kind of melt into the bread and really go nicely with our other flavors. This bun's on the loose. This is an excellent application for a gluten-free bun as well because they tend to be a little less moist and they will toast up quite nicely. All right, now we are going to end up putting this sandwich together, but because this is the fancy sandwich, we're doing the exact same thing for our sauces on both layers. So one side isn't dry and the other side saucy. Now, if you're cutting calories, you can use way less mayo. This red pepper paste has virtually no calories in it whatsoever. It's about the same as a salsa, so you can load up on that. And this, of course, as our Italian loaf, is our meaty sandwich. Now, we like to promote meat as a flavorant and not the main deal here on Rough Chop. And as well, we generally try to steer clear from super processed products. And we all know deli meats are one of the most highly processed of them all. That being said, if you can find your local neighborhood Italian deli or European deli, they do make things the old school way, which is a salt cure and much less nitrates and the things that are bad for you if you go, and you can also get the meats with no gluten in them as well, which is what we did. So each sandwich can have 2 to 3 slices of meat, and then we're gonna put a nice full layer of zucchini on there. Now imagine you have a full baking sheet. You can do up to 8 sandwiches super fast. This is great for quick entertaining as well. And you can do this on low in the barbecue if it gets really hot out and you still want a warm meal but you don't feel like turning the oven on, which coming up in the next few months will become a real thing. Now I want a nice layer of that. Now we are not going to season this sandwich because salami has a lot of salt in it already. So normally this is where we would put salt. Instead, we'll just put a little extra pepper. Now, I'm using Asiago again because I don't want to waste, and any opportunity you have to reuse the same ingredients in a different meal is an excellent opportunity. But you can put bocconcini on here. You can put buffalo mozzarella, regular mozzarella, Havarti, whatever cheese floats your boat. You want a little bit of cheese. You want medium cheese. Or this is your splurge meal. Then we want a lot of cheese. Now, we're gonna pop this in the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and we'll see you when it's time to eat.
Hi, my name is Fred. Hi, my name is Odessa. I'm a competitive home cook, and I'm gonna show you